This is Jewish Spotlight, a weekly television program presented by Chabad Lubavitch of Long Island, featuring various aspects of modern Jewish life and Jewish culture. Now, here is your host, Rabbi Tuvia Teldin.
Shalom. I'm Rabbi Tuvia Teldin, Director of Chabad Lubavitch of Long Island, and I want to welcome you tonight to the Jewish Spotlight. This evening we have with us a very special guest, a rabbi in the community who's well known throughout Long Island, who's done tremendous work with young adults, with families, and with children as well. It's my pleasure now to introduce you to Rabbi Leibel Baumgarten, who is centered at the Chabad House in Coram. Rabbi Baumgarten, it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Very nice. And Rabbi Baumgarten, I want to discuss a couple of things with you tonight. I know you have a lot of different areas of expertise, so we'll try to jump around to cover as much ground as we can.
Flattered.
But one area I want to talk about is just getting started as far as what you're doing in Coram. People usually think of the East End, and of course Coram is only the center of your activity. Your activities go throughout the East End of Long Island. If you mention to somebody, first of all, where Coram is, people haven't heard of Coram. But if you mention to them about there being a rabbi working full-time with Jews in the East End, they think, well, what to do, make blintzes all day? Or, what is there to do? Because people don't even know that Jews exist in the East End of Long Island. What is going on out there? What do you keep busy with?
Surprisingly, out in the East End, and particularly in Coram, there are quite a few Jews. And like in every other community, we have a beautiful synagogue. In fact, I think at this time we even have the largest Chabad house, the largest Lubavitch center at this time out in Coram, surprisingly. There are quite a few Jews, but we do a lot of things there. We have all kinds of programs, special for children, educational programs, and in general, if anybody needs anything, our doors are open for anybody.
Well, I know you have a reputation, together with your wife Goldie, of having hachnasis orchim, of having guests galore, that whenever anybody wants a place to stay or to eat, or to come for a Shabbos meal, that they know the Baumgarten house is always open. I'm sure you have some interesting stories to tell about all types of people who come through your doors.
Quite a few, but I don't remember if every week there is a different kind of story. But yes, everybody's invited to come, and thank God we have quite a few people every Shabbos who come to us, and everybody is invited to come. If anybody needs a place for Shabbos, you're always welcome to come for Shabbos.
It's quite an experience. I remember hearing stories about when you grew up, about the Shabbos house, where you and your 8 siblings, Kenai Harda, around the table, the Shabbos table in Crown Heights, and how there would be Shabbos songs, and how people would literally become so mesmerized by experiencing your Shabbos table when you were a child, and of course all your brothers, and sing beautifully as well. So.
Well, this was when I was brought up in Brooklyn,
right?
Living in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. But out here in Coram, in the East End of Long Island, we try to bring here for my little children to play the same role as they.
Do they sing well? You're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
All right.
I'm not such a great singer either.
I wouldn't say that. But in any case, in addition to your work as far as spreading activities and knowledge about Judaism amongst many of the Jews there, and just helping them in a very physical way sometimes, I know that you're a chaplain also at quite a few of the hospitals in the area, correct?
Yes, I try to visit at least every day the hospitals and nursing homes around the area. For instance, I'm the chaplain of Brookhaven Memorial Hospital.
In Patchogue?
That's in Patchogue, correct. And in Port Jeff we have Matters Hospital and St. Charles Hospital.
Right.
And I try to visit every day. I try to cover a hospital, and just to visit the patients, bring a smile on their face, and it's unbelievable. They really enjoy it.
I'm sure you meet a lot of people that way.
Quite a few. You've
been doing that for quite a few years. You can eventually everybody ends up there maybe for a day or so during the course of a lifetime.
And we become good friends. A
lot of good things, really.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, in addition to that, I know that your activities spread out all the way out to Montauk. Now, I don't know what you do in Montauk, but I can imagine there are Jews in Montauk also. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in terms of the Jewish community further out east and your involvement.
Well, as my base actually is in Coram, we cover the entire east end of Long Island. And I try to split my time. During the winter months, I'm in Coram. In the summertime, I try to spend out in the Hamptons. About 8 years ago, we started a traditional minyan, a service in East Hampton. And first it was a small crowd, and I have to say that today, thank God, throughout the summer months, we have over 150 to 200 people.
200 people sometimes attending services?
Attending services
during the summer.
During the summer, yeah.
And where do you hold the minyan?
Well, we first started out in East Hampton on 3 Mile Harbor. A very courageous family, the name is Tugendhaft. They started us out, and in a small little home on the harbor. And at first we tried to get a minyan. First it was 8 people, then 10 people.
Right.
And as the minyan grew larger, we moved over to the main beach, so to say, on Lily Pond Lane.
Okay. And there it's really expanded.
Really, really expanded. I mean, really, it's...
and these are people who live out in the Hamptons, or mostly people who come to the Hamptons during the summer?
Most of the people who come out in the summer. People from Manhattan or all over.
So you must have a very interesting crowd. I know you've mentioned some people. We were talking just before the show. You meet Martha Stewart every once in a while.
Oh, sure.
And who else comes to your minyan?
Well, we have...
Yitzhak Perlman, I think, has come to the minyan once in a while.
Right. Ronald Perlman. He's the one who initiated this whole traditional minyan for us.
So he's very, very involved, and he really pushes very hard that there should be a regular service.
A traditional minyan rites.
Very
and
nice.
we have many others, people coming from all over.
Right. Well, I know you're not one into name dropping, but surely there are some very interesting experiences that you have out there. And it's interesting because people go out there very often are there to escape the city. So the question comes up in my mind, why, if they're escaping the city and escaping everything going on in the city, do they get involved with something so Jewish out there? Because the people who come to you, I suppose, are not Orthodox Jews who just happen to be in the Hamptons during the summer.
No, not at all. In fact, our whole motto of Chabad Lubavitch is to accept everybody.
Right.
And everybody comes. I believe that the beauty of our minyan is that on a Saturday morning, out at our services, we have all kinds of conservative reform. We all get together, and we all pray together.
Family.
It's unified. It's great. Yeah. And I would say that, of course, it's word of mouth, and I reach out to the people out here that just come and experience, and you love it. And that answers the question where people who come out here, they're escaping, but they need a little bit of that Jewish soul to start them off the weekends.
Well, I've heard that one of the things that attract people to come to your minyan is because Rabbi Baumgarten is not only a rabbi, but he's a chazan, he's a cantor, and that you lead the services every Shabbos.
I do.
All right, and I've heard that people come because they want to hear Rabbi Baumgarten singing.
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm very flattered.
So maybe you'll give us a little bit of an example.
Well, yeah, we would like to hear part of the service.
No, listen. Will you sing a song for us? I'm serious.
Maybe a little later I'll sing a song.
Okay. Well, it's a little later now.
Well, we come from a family of not of cantors. Actually, one of our members of my family is a cantor, but our families were more singers.
Right.
The pen of the soul is through music.
Right.
And we believe that through song...
Wait, say that again. The pen of the soul is music.
Right.
Okay.
To express yourself. And I find that many people throughout my upbringing, that a lot of people have been warmed up to Judaism through the singing throughout my upbringing.
Can you sing us a song?
Well, one of the songs I could, which is known, is a song called "The Little Bird." I don't know if I'm really tuned now, but I'll try it.
All right, we're ready.
Okay. The little bird is calling; it wishes to return. The little bird is wounded. It cannot fly but yearn. It's captured by the vultures, crying bitterly. Oh, to see my nest again. Oh, to be free. The little bird of silver, so delicate and rare, still chirps among the vultures, outshining all that's there. how long it suffers, how long will it be, when will come the eagle and set the little bird free. The little bird is Yisrael, the vultures are our foes. The painful wound is Galus, which we all feel and know. The nest is Yerushalayim, we yearn to be once more. The eagle is Mashiach, whom we are waiting for.
That was beautiful.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. This is one of the numbers.
The question is when I can get off from Shabbos in my synagogue and come to hear you at your synagogue.
Always welcome.
All right.
Always welcome.
That's great. Listen, I know in the course of your activities on the East End, a lot of different things have come up in the past, and I
also like to mention something.
Yes, go on.
If
Okay.
I can,
of course.
to give a little bit of a taste, that being part of the program which we do during the summer, on every Sunday I do visit all the camps surrounding the whole East End.
Really?
Oh yeah, I like to have the 4-H camps, and I feel very good because when I'm there and I sing with them, so they call me the rock and roll rabbi. So that's a good,
So you sing at the camps that you
all
go to?
right, they love it, and it gives them a very good Jewish feeling. And so I got my name, the rock and roll rabbi. When I'm in East Hampton, they call me the Hollywood rabbi. But out here, and when I'm at the summer camps, they call me the rock and roll rabbi. So
but in addition, you have a minyan as well that you organize in 2 other locations on the East End.
That's
correct.
Yes.
Where is that?
Besides the minyan which we have in Coram and East Hampton, we started a also very nice service in Southampton, and we have now a beautiful minyan in Watermill.
Do you have any plans for any other services?
Yes, there are people who are constantly calling me that they would like to have traditional minyan throughout
That's
the entire
incredible.
Hamptons.
Who would ever imagine out in the East End that there would be 4 or 5 different locations to have traditional services?
It's amazing today.
Really, it's an amazing accomplishment, and I really give you a tremendous yasher koach and congratulations for that accomplishment.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring something else up, though. I know that during the course of your activity out there, you've been called for many different types of duties. And we're all aware of the fact that when Flight 800 went down off the Long Island Sound, there was a tremendous response from the community. And it's well known, of course, in the Jewish community that you were, I think, the first rabbi who responded, who came right to the site. You had no idea if there were Jews on board, no Jews on board, but you knew that there was a crash and there was a need, perhaps for some type of pastoral services, and you went there, and from what I understand, you spent the whole night there.
Yes, it was, I happened to be not too far from there. I was giving a class that evening, and I heard about it, and I just dropped whatever I've done, and I
Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Well, when I came there, of course, it was a hush. Really, nobody knew what really was happening. And when we found out that they needed some help down there, so to say, spiritual help, so to say, I volunteered right away to go in there, and we were there. Of course, everybody understands what was going on in that evening there, but I wouldn't move from the spot. I was there an entire night, and I was there praying there on the dock, and
you saw them as they were bringing.
I was singing everything. I was there. We gave encouragement to each other, and it was an unbelievable team. It's something which I will never forget. You find that the world is such a great world and such great people that when there's such a need, everybody is out there, and it was a great experience. Unfortunately, on such circumstances, but everybody got together, and it was
must have been an incredible experience just working together with those people, and I mean the pain also and the grief. Just dealing with that. I don't know if you still have nightmares or different things about the things you saw.
Well, I saw terrible things naturally, I'm sure, which people are aware. But I think about it every day, and
really?
My heart really goes out to the members of the family, and that's why I was there for them, because I knew how the families are going to feel, and therefore I felt that I should be there, at least be there with their beloveds, and I was there the whole time with them, praying for them.
That's
and it wasn't only for the Jewish people. We were there for all the 240 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Over 200 people were there, and I wouldn't move till we knew that the last person that we tried, and in fact we were there for a couple of weeks, and you were there a couple of days as well.
I came down also to visit.
Right.
Yes.
But we all worked together. It was an unbelievable experience.
Right. Now, another one of your activities out in the East End is that you are the chaplain, I believe, at the correctional facility in Riverhead.
Right.
All right. So
Many
you have a lot
labels.
of hats, Rabbi. It's
Well, that's
so
our mission out here.
That 100%. But that's a very interesting thing. I think that first of all, it's important people know that there is a rabbi who goes out every single week, and that you visit Riverhead, and that there are Jewish prisoners there, and that you're involved with them and you help them. I know that you've helped people even after they've left prison, as far as helping them to make the transition and just back into normal society. But what's it like when you go there? When you enter that building and you go behind those bars, give us an idea of what that experience is every time you do that.
Well, I suggest only people who want to help as volunteers to go to be there, but please don't go to jail. It's for me, it's very difficult, but I feel as an emissary of the Rebbe, of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who encouraged us to visit these people and to give them a sense of services, that feeling that they belong, and perhaps maybe to bring them back. And I have to say that many of them, I not only involved with them, but I'm involved with their families. I try to get to the families to help them out as much as I can, if they need, because I know if their husbands are in prison or vice versa, I'd like to help out the families.
Right. So how do you help them out? How do you help them through this transition?
Monetary, or just to be there with them, and just throughout the time that they have to spend in the prison, I try to help the families.
Now, I know you mentioned concerning the Rebbe's tremendous emphasis on going out to reaching the prisoners, not only because, of course, there are a lot of Christian organizations which are trying to convert Jews while they're in prison, but also just out of Ahavas Yisrael, as of concern for a fellow Jew, to make sure they have the facilities and they have also the means by which to be able to reconsider their lives. Because I think there are a lot of Jews, and not Jews alike, who start looking into religion because they realize there's something deeper in life that perhaps they've missed out on, that has caused them to lead their life in a direction that has brought them to this place. And it's time for them to make a reckoning. You know, people sometimes make fun and say, oh, you went to prison, you became religious.
Right.
But they don't appreciate necessarily the inner turmoil and the transition that a person goes through when they experience something like that. Not everybody in prison expected to be there or feels that they belong there or really even recognize that the type of activity they were involved in would bring them there.
True.
It's a shock.
That's right. It's going to prison and being there with them and giving them a service. I believe that, as you know, that when people have these problems, like somebody's in a hospital, many people turn to prayers or to spirituality. And I find, in my experience, I'm over there for 16 years. And
Really?
There, yeah, it's quite a long time. I've seen many success, which I had personally. I'm sure the correctional facilities had many positive outcomes of their inmates. However, what I've seen the Jewish inmates, I'm in touch with them and help them out, and some of them even belong to our congregation. And help them in every way possible. Going there is a sense when I'm sitting with them, it's not as a prisoner and a rabbi. We're there as a rabbi and a congregant or friends. And we have a service there, we talk a lot. And
Well, without infringing on your privacy or your private discussions with them, what kind of subjects do they bring up? What are their concerns? What are they looking to you for?
well, they're looking for spirituality. When they're in prison, you have more time to think about your past. If they're Jewish, they think about their Judaism, and they want to hear more about it. So I try to help them to open up a little bit and to give them an interest of their Judaism. At the same time, I can help them in their situation of to help them out if they need any help, as you know, to get out or to work with them if I feel that
this is something that's interesting what you're bringing up. There are a lot of people, and from one end to the other. Let's say on one end is, of course, people who are in prison or in the hospitals. To the other end, people who are very, very successful in their positions and have really reached the heights of their career, who are both realizing that they need something more spiritual in their life. And it's very interesting how people from all different types of backgrounds and ways of life come to the same conclusion. that there's that need to be able to add that extra dimension into their life. Do you come across that in a lot of your experiences with people?
I experience it. I feel it.
Let's say in the Hamptons, for instance, you have people who are at the height of their careers,
right,
who are out there during the summer in the Manhattan crowd, and they come out to you and they come to a rabbi on Shabbos morning for a minyan. I mean, what do they need it for?
I don't know if they know that if I did a service for them and then I go to the prison. But it's very interesting. You brought an interesting point that we have one common denominator. There's the spirituality, the service, there's Judaism is by everybody, no matter if you've reached a high capacity or if you're a prisoner. It's unbelievable how we all mingle together and we come to one person.
So let's say you take a person who's in the prison, perhaps there's more receptivity. Take a person out in the Hamptons who's at the pinnacle of success. How do you approach them and say, all right, listen, good, you've made it. Congratulations. But isn't there something that you're missing in life? Isn't something that can be added on in life? Not threatening, not in any way will take away from your success, but to the contrary, will add on to it. How do you approach a person?
I think the more they approach me, and I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Okay.
I think when they come to the services and they realize that it's a really spiritual, and it's uplifting for them, and then they get to know you, and they see sort of, oh, here is a guy who's really, he's a spiritual, but he's part of the gang, so to say. He's part of the situation, and they feel very comfortable. They really open up.
They feel very comfortable. Yeah.
I can tell you that after
everybody does. I know.
Right. After the services, we have a get together, to eat and things like that. And I feel great because there's a whole lineup of people before they want to go home. Everybody tells me little problems and if I could solve their little problems. So everybody says, okay, we're lining up to see the rabbi before we leave, to grab something to eat, a bite to eat, and they come see the rabbi. And we have all kinds of people there from the lawyers, doctors, and professionals. And I feel that I could see in my experience that they're missing something. And once they experience it, a whole world opens up for them.
Really? You've seen that, how the people have really made personal changes in their life?
Yeah, I'm personal friends with each one of them. And I'm in contact with them. And
some of them have become more traditional as a result?
Yes. I have to say that being there the 8 years in the Hamptons, I have koshered many, many homes. I have put on tons and tons of mezuzahs on their doorposts.
Right.
And helping them out in all different aspects. I mean, they call me up. I go visit them in Manhattan during the year. So I'm in contact with each one of them, and for me it's uplifting.
It's a wonderful experience.
I love it.
So you really get the full gamut of the human experience.
Well, you see old people, and of course you can't take away from my own community, which I'm full time. I love every minute of it. When you help out a family and you feel that a family's happy and they smile and they feel a little relief. I mean, you go home, you're the happiest person. Mm-hmm. And that's what Chabad is all about. That's where I was brought up.
Speaking of how you were brought up, we have just a couple of minutes left. I think that people would be very curious to know, number one, you grew up, of course, in a very Hasidic family, a family that, in fact, goes back directly to the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, a direct descendant, a distant relative of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and to be growing up in the Rebbe's court, so to say. What was it like? And I think there's a tremendous amount of curiosity. Maybe you can share a little bit of an insight of growing up in that whole environment with that really special feeling and love for God and love for the Jewish people and love for the Torah and love of kosher chicken soup and a lot of love, I know. But
you just spelled it out. I can say that, coming from today I don't call it a large family, one of 9. The beauty of it.
Wait, you don't call it a large family?
No.
What is a large family?
Today, in the large family, Lubavitch family, thank God, you have 12, 13.
Yeah, some, but I would still consider 9 to be pretty large.
Well, coming from a beautiful, large family.
And although your brothers are rabbis and all your sisters are Rebbitzins, I understand.
Yes, they're
all doing the Rebbe's work literally in all corners of the globe.
All corners of the world, that's correct.
Okay. But growing up, so that special upbringing where everybody followed in those footsteps and was so excited and so inspired to really ooze Judaism in every single pore of their skin, what is it? What's the secret? Well,
it's very, very hard to express, things. I lived it. I'm being part of that, but it was an unbelievable experience. And I mind you, a lot of people think that you were living like in a little ghetto-ish situation. Actually, being brought up in Crown Heights was not really that situation because the Rebbe, all the years, invited all the people from outside to inside. In my home, bring up on a Friday evening, we had 30, 40 people around the table.
And from all over?
From coming from all corners of from all over.
Right.
You know, and that time I was brought up in the '60s, so you had all the hippies coming, and they felt at home by everybody else. This is how I was brought up. We felt all my life growing up in Crown Heights, even though true. Walking around Crown Heights, walking into a grocery store, I only could buy kosher. You couldn't find non-kosher in Crown Heights. But nevertheless, the atmosphere of accepting everybody was there. Observant Jews, not observant Jews, all coming from all corners of life. They were all there.
Yeah, and of course, being able to be going to the Rebbe's talks constantly and praying with the Rebbe and to really be in that environment and hear the Rebbe constantly speaking was something that really was
it's something
very
very hard at this time, very hard and very hard to express that feeling of what it means that I could see the Rebbe every day. I could be praying with him every day. I could be by his gatherings every week and just seeing his face and the inspiration which he gave us. This is what's keeping me going.
Right.
And
that's a tremendous inspiration.
Right.
It's a tremendous gift and an honor to have been in that type of situation.
I think we also have to add the families being together too.
Right. Well,
and this really helped us out.
Baumgarten, thank you very much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it, especially that singing. I'll tell you, we'll have to have you come back on just to sing for us. But I hope everybody learned a little bit, and it was very nice of you to share all that information with us.
Pleasure.
Meantime, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we have our special Chabad house at 58 Comac Road. We have, of course, 12 Chabad houses all over. And Rabbi Baumgarten, your Chabad house phone number is?
698-4000.
698-4000. Okay, that's right in Coram. That's pretty easy to remember. I don't think you even need a pen for that.
That's correct.
698-4000, and you're on Coram, Mount Sinai Road in Coram. I believe it's 87 in Coram, Mount Sinai Road. And we have 12 Chabad houses all over Long Island for you to be able to benefit from, to partake in, to meet great rabbis like this and his wonderful wife Goldie, and to be able to really just touch a little bit of that world and find out that being Jewish and learning about it is a beautiful, fulfilling, great experience. Getting back also, we have, of course, as I mentioned, the Chabad house at 58 Comac Road, where I'd like you to come by and visit. We have a little computer room, a video room, we have a book library for you to come and to borrow. We also have, in order for you to be able to make Judaism even more available for you and for your children, we have also a special website, an internet website, which is going to be available, or is available, I should say, and that is on your screen, www.chabadli.org. So just jot that down, chabadli.org, and I hope you'll take advantage of that. And if you don't have internet, then I want to tell you about our superphone. And even if you do have internet, you can still call up our superphone. Call 76-SUPER at any time, day or night, except for the Sabbath and the Jewish holidays. That phone is going full blast, and you can get in on a computer-driven menu to find out more about Judaism, to hear a saying from the rabbi, to hear a bedtime story, to find out about your Jewish birthday, when it might be, and any of a number of different things which could be of interest to you. So I want you to really check into that and look into it, because it's something that you could really all enjoy. And the main thing is, the main message is that we should all try, as you said, Rabbi Baumgarten, to increase in our Judaism, to connect. And as a beautiful song that Rabbi Baumgarten sang tells us, that the little bird, the Jewish people, is waiting for Mashiach, waiting for the eagle to come. And we hope that all of you will do a good deed, do a mitzvah, do something special to be able to make sure that your world is better and to make the world at large a better world. Shalom and good evening.
Sisu besimchu besimchas hagiyulo, hine hine Moshiach bo. 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 Hine yubo Moshiach tzidkeinu, hine yubo Yipeiro v'yomeinu, hine yubo Yavoy v'yikoleinu, v'meinu v'yomeinu Moshiach